Hello. Welcome. This is Maurice Parker. Welcome to the Maurice Parker channel. If you're new, subscribe below for new details. And today we are going to talk about the college football playoffs in the first round, as well as thoughts on the NFL as they go into the playoffs in 2 weeks. The first game I wanted to get into my thoughts was Notre Dame versus Indiana game. The final score being 27-17. A few things stood out to me in that game was that Notre Dame's running back was elite. He took a 98-yard running touchdown, which was just crazy to see the play unfold. Great blocking, great execution. The defense, if I'm not mistaken, did an awesome job. It was a complete game by the offense. Indiana had their chances, but at times they looked flourished, looked unsettling. It was just not a good day for them. Unfortunately, to get bounced out the first round of college football playoffs, Indiana's moving on to the second round. Another game in the first round that needs to be mentioned was Penn State's dominant performance over CMU. It was 38-40, two pick sixes by the defense. I mean, the Nittany Lions defense balled out. I know they'll say it was CMU, but it doesn't matter. When you're in the playoffs, you still got to perform. Whether it's collegiate or the NFL, you still got to perform. They did a heck of a job. The running backs got Allen and Singleton did an awesome job when they needed to in that game. Great performance by the Big Ten. They're going on to the next round against Boise State. I think it's just incredible. I think that this team actually has legitimate shots or aspirations to contend for a national championship, honestly. The last team I wanted to talk about was actually, you know what? The Tennessee Oregon game was very interesting. Sorry, the Tennessee Oregon game was interesting because I did not expect Ohio State. Sorry, the Tennessee Ohio State game was interesting. I was thoroughly impressed how Ohio State dictated the game. It just seemed like no matter what Tennessee did, Ohio State was just one step quicker. Like coming off one of the worst losses of recent memories to Michigan, and it wasn't the loss. I think it was so much the fact that what happened after the loss to Michigan, when they're fighting the players, but the players were upset. That was a big rivalry game for them to lose to that Michigan team, and then for them to come away and pull away, they did was very remarkable. I was very interested to see how they performed the next round. The NFL. I missed a few games on the NFL this week, because there was so many games in 11 days. Well, first I'll start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have been not good. Not we have not played the sharpest football these last 3 weeks. We have lost to the Eagles, lost to the Ravens, and lost to the two-time world champion Kansas City Chiefs. It's not just the fact that we have lost; it's the fact that we have been getting blown out. The games have not been close, and that's a tough pill to swallow. I was one of the few Steelers fans who believed that we could beat the Chiefs. I still think that if we get a chance to play them again, I think that we would have to go to Arrowhead. But I think that in the playoffs, anything can happen. You got to have that belief in yourself as a team that you're going to win, regardless of if you're going against Patrick Mahomes. If you was going against back in the day Tom Brady, you have to have that belief on your team to get better. I would rather teams to lose now than to lose later. Because speaking from a Steelers as a Steelers fan, I remember when we was 15-1 in '04 and made it to the championship game, and we was not moving on. Obviously, a few things you got to tip your cat off to Kansas City. They could play the complete. That was the most complete game I think they played against us. Patrick Mahomes showed why he is probably the second best quarterback of all time right now. I have Tom Brady as number one personally because I've seen Tom Brady go win 7 rings and Super Bowls. Even if Mahomes does what's the TP, I still say you gotta give it to Brady because Brady did it much longer with different pieces around him. Mahomes is great, but I just pumped the brakes on saying Kelsey, and he do 1, 2 wordy. And I had to give a shout out to Travis Kelsey. That was incredible to catch 1,000 passes in a career. That's amazing, especially for a tight end. The only other tight end to ever do that, I believe, there's only two. I think it's Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez. And ironically, 2 out of 3 who played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Defensively, we held them as we could, but they just broke through. I think offensively, we looked sluggish. I think Warren was not. Warren was probably the preferred back in this game because it seemed like he was running and hitting the hole straight. Najee was doing what he could do, but I don't think it was this was not this type of Najee game. I think Russell Wilson said in his pregame is that a lot of people fear the Chiefs, and I'm starting to believe that to be true. But you can't fear them. I think Buffalo doesn't fear them. I think the Ravens don't fear them. I don't even think the Steelers fear them. It's just that when you're playing against a historically great quarterback, you have to be ready to do historically great things. It's doing the ordinary things. It's working better. It's being at your best. It is having confidence before you go into the game. It's having confidence and belief. You don't worry about what the crowd or any stuff. You believe in your group of guys and what y'all can achieve. Anybody is beatable. I always want that to be known. Anybody is beatable on any given Sunday or any playoff game. We've seen it happen before. But shout out to Kansas City for winning. They go to 15-1. Their only loss of the season was the Buffalo Bills. Better than that, they have won close games. Their offensive juggernaut is not has it been in years past, so they don't look the same in that regard as far as their offensive juggernaut. But they're winning games. That's the bottom line in the NFL. They're winning games. They're winning close games. They're not losing close games. So that says a lot about their coach and their team and the coach. I gotta gotta give him credit. He's spectacular. Travis Kelce's spectacular. You just got to be able to play the game. 4 quarters, you got to be able to get to the quarterback. You got to be able to capitalize when you get 3 and outs. You got to be able to do. It's the small things that make Pittsburgh make great. But maybe it's the small things. It's details. Anybody can be beat. Are you willing to commit to being better? We also got to talk about the other game that I didn't get to talk about was Lamar Jackson against the Texans. He did an awesome job. I got to put some respect. I know a lot of people are critical on him because he has not gone to the Super Bowl. He's been to an AFC Championship game just like Josh Allen. I think because he has those team VPs, they try to hold him in a higher regard. But the Ravens are looking like they're cooking. They have taken the Steelers in the AFC North for the division, so they most likely will get a home playoff game, barring a loss and we was to win. Now that's different, but the Steelers was to win, but that's different. You got to give them credit. Look at the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen played and won a close game against Buffalo, 24-21. Shakir, his defense stepped up. He's been playing with a broken left hand since week 1. If you remember, he tried to dive over the end zone and his hand, but he still has played through it. He's a tough guy. I got to give Allen that. He has played remarkably well this year. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Indeed, he is. I also got to give credit to Jalen Daniels, who's probably going to run away from Rookie of the Year. Had one of the best performances I've seen of a rookie quarterback. They was down against the Eagles. Granted, Jalen Hurts in this game gets hurt, and he's taken out immediately. He's ruled out with a concussion, which is unfortunate because he is a great quarterback. In comes Kenny Pickett, the former first-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He throws a touchdown, but he also throws an interception. Picks they couldn't do much. Saquon Barkley, who had 108 yards the first half, ends up ending the game with 68 yards. Jaden Daniels drives his team down with under a minute left. I think it was 8 seconds. 8 seconds in the red zone. Finds Jamison Crowder in the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown. The Commanders end up winning this game. Now the Commanders have a shot to actually, believe this or not, if the Eagles was to lose the last 2 games and the Commanders win the last 2, the Commanders could be the number 1, could win the division. And that's crazy because you never think about it like that. Another side bit was Baker Mayfield against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas found out earlier that they was eliminated from playoff contention. Still played hard. CeeDee Lamb put on a heck of a show with his injured shoulder. And other than that, what CeeDee Lamb did was spectacular. I also want to say that Baker Mayfield showed that he's a fiery competitor at this game. Unfortunately, they end up losing this game to the Dallas Cowboys, which gave the Atlanta Falcons the lead. Atlanta has benched Kirk Cousins and has since started Michael Penix. And Michael Penix did win his first game. He threw over 200 yards. He did throw an interception. The Falcons defense stepped up. I think the Falcons are going to go with Kirk Cousins, unfortunately for him. Looking into the deep run of the playoffs, it seems like the only teams who is outside looking in is the Bengals and Dolphins. I know that the Bengals and Broncos play. If the Broncos were to beat the Bengals are eliminated from playoff contention. But if the Bengals beat the Broncos, then they would have to come to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers, and they would have to hope the Broncos lose another game, or they would have to hope that even the Chargers to lose last two games. So my thoughts so far on the AFC. Well, it looks like logic would tell you that is Kansas City is the team who's going to have a home field advantage. It runs to Kansas City. They don't got to go away for the playoffs. They're going to have a home field advantage. They are going to play a competitive, complete game. It's going to be tough to play in Arrowhead. I think that history would tell you they would go to another AFC Championship game, barring it depends on who they play in the playoffs. Anything can happen, but they are the team to be in the AFC. Number two team is Buffalo Bills. The Ravens actually are number three right now. Number four is the Houston Texans. Number five is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number six is the Chargers, and number seven is the Broncos. In the NFC is number one is the Lions. Number two is the Eagles. Number three is the Rams, and I think number four is the Falcons. And then Washington moves up to number six seed. I believe the Vikings are number five seed. The last seed is and the Packers. The Packers. I think in the NFC, the Packers are the top seed. I think they may be tough to beat. They have a lot of firepower. I think the teams, if the matchups, if I had to do a prediction in the playoffs, who I think would be well, there's a few teams I think could go to the AFC Championship game. I think it could be a Kansas City Ravens rematch or a Kansas City Buffalo rematch. I think if the Buffalo Bills were to play them again, I think Buffalo might actually win this time in the playoffs. Only reason I say that is because I think he has learned the fear. It's like kind of like when Peyton Manning kept playing Tom Brady. Tom Brady kept being Peyton Manning in the playoffs, and people never thought that he was going to ever beat Brady. I think people forget that after '06, when Peyton Manning started winning, he beat him in the championship game. He didn't lose to them no more in the AFC Championship games when they played when he was with the Broncos, and people seem to forget that. I think that this is a turning point. I think for Lamar, he could also do. Do I think my Steelers could beat him? Yeah, it's a toss up. I think those are the three teams in the AFC. Even though we've gotten blown out for them right now, and I'm just being optimistic. That's just who I am. I will have to concede that they are the best team in the NFL right now. I do think that anybody's beatable. I think that those are my three teams too. I could pick to beat them. I think that if we was to play them in the divisional round, I think we could take them. It'll be tougher, harder, but I think we would have more pieces back and things like that. But we would have to play a more complete game on offensive defense. When you first get the ball, you got to take advantage of it. We have to take advantage when we first get the ball. We cannot linger around. In the NFC, I think the team to beat is Detroit Lions. I think the other team, I can see the Vikings. I can see the Packers being deadly. The Falcons can make some noise. But as a progressive, we'll find out. If Kansas City was to three-peat, you got to tip your cap off to them, and I had to tip my cap off to them because that would be incredible. But if they lose, then hey, they lose, but you still got to tip your cap off to them because you know there's only been a few teams throughout NFL history that have even tried to attempt a three-peat. Still, so the '70s had a gap, and they did try to three-peat. The Dallas Cowboys of the '90s actually was close with Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. They actually made it to the NFC Championship game, and they lost 38-28 against the San Francisco 49ers, but they was close. If you look at the best team who had the chance to get close to three-peat was the 49ers against the Giants, I think in the 1992 or 1991 NFC Championship game. What happened was, unfortunately, Roger Craig had fumbled the ball. The Giants ended up recovering it. They kicked a field goal to go to the Super Bowl, which they defeated the Buffalo Bills, and that happened. The Patriots had their chances to three-peat uh, from 03-04. They didn't make it the next year, and there was times where they went to the Super Bowl, but because went back, but they didn't three-peat. Because it's hard to three in the National Football League. Every team, every year has a confidence, but I think the key I would tell these players is whether it was Brady, Manning, Now, Mahomes, Lamar, you have to believe in your team. You're a professional athlete. You have to believe the hard work and dedication to playoff. You have to believe in your mind, body, and soul that it's going to was winnable. I can win this game. I can play this person. I think I play at my best. Do not let fear be an option. And now when others don't do well, most importantly than that, when they don't get hurt, I respect all these athletes because they have played at the highest level. I'm an optimistic person. I believe that you should always be optimistic because you're a player out there because anything can happen on any given day. Being realistic, you choose your realism, choose your optimism. NFL players working hard over there. I appreciate it. Collegiate players doing your thing. I appreciate it. This was a long overdue video. Thank you for watching.